until you see the feed, because it takes a little bit of time for that to show up. So let's see here. I'm getting another error message here. I'm getting an error message from YouTube, so sorry about that. I can't see the comments until this clears up. Very, very confusing here. Sorry, it's a complication of doing a stream on dual platforms. So now I lost it. Okay, so hold on, I gotta come back to the comments. Okay, now we're back. Now we're back. Okay, there, I see the comments now. Okay, great. That is good. So I haven't checked Rumble, so that'll come later. I'm not going to check Rumble right now. So welcome, my friends, and welcome. Oh, wow. Wait a minute. It deleted all the comments. What the? No, I lost all of you. Okay, this has got really messed up here. So all the comments disappeared. Okay, I'll wait for you to all come back in here. Just a little bit of confusion here with the way this is set up with this platform I'm using to do the restreaming. It's called restream.io. I should have just written my own. I used to just stream on my own. I wrote my own software to do the streaming. And when I'm relying on a third party here, it's not good. In any case, I don't see any comments now. The comments disappeared. So let me see if I have a way of bringing that back. I'm sorry for the replay viewers here. I'll see if I can delete this later on, so you don't have to. There we go. Okay, at least I can see the comments on Restream. I can't see the comments on YouTube, so it kind of disappeared on YouTube. I can see the comments on Restream though. Okay, guys. So the topic tonight is going to be about, well, it's phone buying season every September. What do you think happens in September? You got all the things like the Apple event. And yeah, the Apple event, and you see the new phones and the new iPhone 14, iPhone 14 Pro, iPhone 14 Pro Max, the Apple Watch, the new Apple Watch, you know, and all this dynamic island, satellite, eSIM, fantastic new camera with A16 Bionic, and you know, all this good stuff. And anyway, so I'm going to discuss all that, but before I do that, I want to just talk to you about my next video, because it's going to be related to the current video. So the current video is about location tracking, which, you know, it's maybe old hat to a lot of you. So a lot of you said, oh, I already know this, so I'm not going to pay attention. Well, the next video is going to be very interesting. Please make sure to watch that. The next video will be about location. Yes, it will be about location, but the location detail will be very deep. About as deep as I've never seen anything deeper than what I'm going to talk about on that video. The video is already done. So that's the video that's coming up next week. And just so you get excited, I'm going to introduce some terms, and then you can watch for it on the video. Terms like supple, supple.google.com, NLP, network location providers, tower triangulation, you know, all of these, AGPS. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that most people don't know about, and so that's going to be discussed in there. And there's actually some zingers in there. You'll find out that the phone is actually communicating with more tracking than I even knew before. So I found some new ways the phone can be tracked, and in addition to what is being done now by Apple and Google, there's actually more. So yeah, so you know, more lies from Apple. So whatever they're saying, you're gonna realize that you know, more and more lies come out of these guys because they're not telling you the truth about what is actually being tracked. So that'll be in the next video coming up next Wednesday. So again, the format is I talk for 30 minutes about the given topic, and then we go into Q&A after that. The Q&A is optional. You don't have to watch that. If you're not interested in the Q&A, you can skip and watch one of the prepared shorter videos. So the Apple event showed some pretty interesting marketing, and actually, if you look at it, I mean, it's like, any guy that's into tech like I am, I love technology. I'm in technology. That's what I do. And then I realized that what they're doing is they're really trying to get you to attach yourself to the phone in a big way. In fact, it's funny that 50% of the marketing of the iPhone, 50% of the marketing of the iPhone was spent on photography. 50%. So basically, they're just trying to get you, because there's nothing interesting about a phone anymore. I mean, what's interesting about a phone? A phone is a phone, right? And so they don't talk about the phone part. What they talk about is basically that this is a technology that is the best camera ever. Well, I have a $3,500 camera that I use for videos here. So, it's much better than the iPhone for sure. So it's not like I have to use the iPhone camera. It's not. Basically, they're saying, oh, you can't live without your phone because your phone is your camera. And the other thing that it's kind of trying to teach you, and this was the video I was gonna actually start making, is to focus on the fact that because we're being told that we need to rely on our phones, and our phones is going to contain all of our lives, including your personal pictures and private pictures, and some of you have nude pictures on there, and you're like saying, oh, I'm going to put it on the phone. This is fantastic because the phone is so secure now that I'm going to put all my life's data on the phone. I have a friend who's in his 80s, and we talk about any subject, and he pulls out his phone and picks out a picture from something from the 50s, and then shows it to me on his phone, and he was very, very proud of that. And the problem is, of course, that's exactly what this new technology is being pushed at. Is you got to rely on the phone. The phone storage needs to be more because you're going to put your life stuff in there. And of course, you can't just put their stuff on the phone. It has to be backed up to iCloud, and on and on and on. Suddenly, you're not using a computer anymore. You're using the phone. So this is the trend, and photography is one of the ways that they can do that is by getting you to store your pictures on the phone. Now, the iPhone 14, iPhone 14 Pro have the super fantastic, super fast A15 and A16 Bionic, which are desktop level processors now. And what the heck, these are the most powerful processors ever put on a phone, right? Which is true. The question is, what the heck is the purpose of this technology on the phone? What exactly needs this kind of tech? As you know, if you have one of my phones, like the BraxOS phone, the BraxOS phone is not as powerful as a A15 and A16 Bionic. In fact, no phone is. And the question is, what do you really need that for? What do you need that power for? Well, as it turns out, you don't. Most of the power of a phone is actually dedicated towards the AI, and at the moment they're saying the AI, meaning the neural network, the neural engine built into the Bionic chip, is supposedly for machine learning related to photography, supposedly. Although actually, as you know, I've explained to you that that technology can also search for content on your phone and can learn what's on your phone and can learn the environment, can watch the camera, and it can actually pick out separate objects. And that's it's not going to use a lot of processing power because it's actually built into the chip, because it can do trillions of machine learning instructions per second, as you know, as Apple says. So what exactly is this for? So I guess this has not changed. You know, the marketing of the phone, specifically the iPhone, has been focused on photography for a while now, and then everyone's trying to catch up by saying, okay, we're going to have to add more and more photography features, but you know, uh, there's really not much added in terms of phone functionality. The phone is still the phone. It still does the same stuff it does. You're still using the same ducking apps. Uh, you know, yeah, get you to update to the next phone, pass your phone down to your kids, so that at 10 years old they all have an iPhone. So yeah, that's the plan, and of course they can make a lot of money that way. Now, the interesting things that were added to the iPhone that is ultra dangerous, and some of them, of course, have already been added in the past. I've already told you about this, so I'm going to just refresh your memory. They did the client-side scanning that was added last year, and then they basically said, okay, we're not going to implement that, but the technology is actually in your phone. They did the Apple Mesh Network with the iPhone becoming an AirTag, so when you turn it off, it's going to be tracking you. When you watch next week's video, you will actually start to realize that there's a lot of stuff going on all these phones, and the tracking just continues nonstop actually, regardless of what you do. The fact that the phone is on, it's going to be tracking over and over. It doesn't even matter what you do on the phone. It's going to track because that's the way it's designed. Okay, and that's something that you're going to learn about next week, and it's beyond just what I keep talking about with, you know, the usual Wi-Fi triangulation. This goes beyond that, and you will find that in this video, because yeah, you'll find out in this video. Don't worry about the lagging. Unfortunately, my signal is not very good right now, as long as the audio is okay. So I mean, it's just my face. It's not going to change much as you're watching. So let it lag. Don't worry about it. And I don't want to really focus on it because it'll just be distracting. So just listen to the audio, and we'll treat it like a podcast. Anyway, one of the things that really bugged me, of course, is the fact that the new iPhone does not even have a SIM card slot anymore. No SIM card slot. So as you know, the only way to stop the baseband modem from tracking you is to remove the SIM card. That's the only way. So they took that away. So now we don't have any way. I'm actually thinking if this is connected to my cashless video, because that means you can't go to the store and buy a SIM card in cash and activate that. You won't be able to do that. Now you got to go online and buy it with a credit card. And then they automatically, I guess you probably punch some code to your phone, and then it recognizes and then it downloads the eSIM. So yeah, what is this all going to mean? So that is really, really bothersome, because this is another one of these trends. It's kind of like the cashless thing, and it's really, really bothersome, because we have no recourse. This is another one of these no recourse options. We're forced to use the phone, and we're going to be locked in and locked in and locked in, and now we're going to be locked electronically to an eSIM. We're going to be locked into an eSIM. So this really concerns me, because what is the alternative here? So in a few years, give it 5 years, because for all the other models to catch up, maybe less, maybe 3 years, there won't be a phone with a SIM card. So eSIM distribution does not require any, physical physical thing. And of course, there's one company that sells all the SIMs. What's her name? The one in the Netherlands. I talk about them in many videos. Yeah, what are they going to do? I guess they still make your credit cards. So yeah, so they took away the headphone jack. So now you can't even buy a computer with a headphone sucking jack. And now they took away the SIM tray. So yeah, it's gonna be like just a plain box, and you're not gonna have any control over it because you don't actually know what's in the phone. And it takes guys like me to tell you what's actually going on in there. And next week's video, you'll find out how scary this is. That there's many other things going on in there. So yeah, so the eSIM thing is really bothersome. The idea that the new iPhone has even more neural network capacity or machine learning or capability is bothersome, because what exactly is this technology for? They said, oh, this is CPU is 18% faster than the last iPhone. The A15 chip, the A16 is so much more, and it's 40% faster than this and that, and you just on and on and on, and you kind of wonder what is the technology that's actually trying to be achieved with these phones. I mean, you don't need it to watch videos. There's no special need for so much power on a phone to do the normal things that you want to do. It's beyond that. It's beyond that. What they want to do is much deeper, and this is really what concerns me. And as I've talked to you before, the client-side scanning part means that the AI, now the AI is now built into the phone, the AI is actually able to sense the environment through the camera. The AI is going to sense the environment through the camera, and that's really like scary stuff here, because then the AI will be the observer in the phone. So it can control the camera without your knowledge and check out the environment. And I don't know what that's for. I don't know what that's for. So yeah, and the fact that they're actually selling this power of the phone, because I mean behaviorally, I mean what actually works differently between an iPhone 10, which is the last iPhone I got, and an iPhone 14. I mean, what exactly is going to be much different in operation between those? Is it going to be so significantly faster that it's going to change your life? I mean, come on, be serious. It's just a normal phone with a normal app. Your apps are going to work pretty much the same. It's not going to be that much different. Oh yeah, you got the dynamic island or whatever thing that they're going to put on there, which is actually going to be a change on iOS anyways. Doesn't relate to the phone model. And yet, we're being sold this, and like, oh my, you're going to need this. You're going to need this dynamic. No, the dynamic island will be available to all, but you're going to need this new technology, because this phone is faster. Faster in what way? What exactly do you need to do that requires this? And it just bugs me, because what exactly is the purpose? I mean, there's so much tracking in there. It's just unbelievable. Now, I kind of feel bad. I have a friend who for a long time had an old Android, and I saw him a couple days ago, and he was showing me some music, and he pulled out his iPhone 13, and it's like, oh no. I mean, this guy watches my channel, and he fell for it. He bought an iPhone 13, and I like trying to tell you over and over, don't do that. Don't do that. We got to resist this. I mean, we got to resist. Please spend your money on different kinds of technology. Yes, I'm not against technology. I'm not against technology. You can get some nice technology out there that has nothing to do with a phone. Make your phone as basic as possible. Get a BraxOS phone. Make it basic. Well, BraxOS phone is not basic, but it's not an iOS phone. Make sure that you focus instead on other technologies. You can get the best camera. You know, I have a Sony. I have a Sony camera. I have several Sony cameras, and this one I'm using here, and I have one that I'm using on for my main videos. And those are expensive cameras. They're like, you know, $3,500 plus the lenses and all. I mean, that's $4,000 or $5,000 worth of cameras. So yes, I believe in technology. You get the best if you want. That's fine, and it's exciting to get the best technology. But my camera doesn't track me. My Sony camera doesn't track me. It has no internet. It's not connected to anything, and it has extremely high quality photos. It's very low light condition, very sensitive lenses and so on, and very high capability sensors. So it's a fine camera. It's much better than any iPhone. In fact, iPhone, the way the iPhone does it is because of its limitations with the lenses. The iPhone fixes everything by its neural engine. It's basically a toucher upper. So your iPhone is going to be looking at the photo and say, oh, let me touch it up, let me touch it up. So it's touching up the photo with something called HDR by taking multiple photos, taking the best spots out of there, looking at separate objects that you want to focus on, and taking it individually for many, many shots and processing in the background, and that's what the neural engine is for. Okay? So it's, that's because it's not as good a camera as something with, you know, good lenses and so on, like my Sony camera here, which is fantastic for video. So yeah, there are technologies out there that you can buy. I'm not saying, you know, you need to be in the cave. You can get new technologies. You know, you can get a fancy computer. You can get a fancy Dell laptop that's actually more powerful than the M1. So yeah, I mean, you can actually blow away even an Apple M1 with some of the new Intel processors with let's say a Dell or an Asus or one of those, and you can get the fanciest screen. At least you have a big screen, and there can be light. It can be ultralights. And you can have tablets, you can have all of this stuff, and you don't have to rely on iPhones. Please, I'm the anti-technology only when it comes to phones. Only when it comes to phones. I'm very anti-technology with phones because I know it's going to be abusing us. Because it's, you know, it's like a devil's call. Just bring us in there, bring you in. You know, rely on your phones, and then we're going to zuck you. So the next thing they added was the zucking satellite. My goodness. Now you have a phone that can talk in satellite. As if it's not enough. Hello from the Netherlands. Hello, Peter. You're awake so early in the morning. So, yeah, so they want satellite now. So basically, it's actually not even that complex of a technology. What they did is put something called EPIRB. I don't know if any of you are in sailing, but if you have a sailboat and you go offshore, you can have a device called an EPIRB, which will send a signal up to the satellite and then alert the emergency station. And so that's what they did. They put an EPIRB-like communication antenna on the phone with, you know, a radio to communicate with the satellite. And yeah, so that's what they put on the phone. And because they couldn't put a big antenna on it, they decided you're going to just hold the phone, and there's going to be some software that you can point to the satellite, and that way they don't have to have a big antenna. So that's their solution to it. Okay, so wow, they really want you to spend your entire life with this phone, don't you? I mean, you're just going to go everywhere with this phone, and it's going to be rescuing you from the mountains if you get lost in the mountains. Now, you already know that the phone has a Apple Mesh Network locator on it. Aside from the technologies for location that I'm going to talk about in the next video, like supple and network location providers and Wi-Fi triangulation, tower triangulation, and all this stuff that's going to be in the next video. Uh, we're gonna be dealing now with Apple Mesh Network. So the phone is actually talking to other phones. So a iPhone. This is specifically an iPhone thing. This is not even an Android. An iPhone is actually tracking other iPhones. So you not only have a locator based on external things like Google tracking and so on, and Wi-Fi triangulation and so on. Now we have iPhones tracking iPhones. So just, I mean, it's so extreme that they could probably track your iPhone to an inch. Can you imagine that? So your phone can be tracked, to an inch. We already know Wi-Fi triangulation can track you to 6 zucking feet, and now iPhone to iPhone, iPhone to iPad. I mean, what the heck? This is called the Apple Mesh Network. And in case you're out of range, if you're out of range, they want to make sure that you have a way of sending messages. You have a way of sending messages to make sure you're still somewhat tracked, even if you're in the mountains, and that's by satellite. It's like, my gosh, where does this end? So, yeah. No, many phones, oh dear plays already have eSIM, but they have eSIM in a tray. And now we won't have a tray, so we'll be forced to be only eSIM, and that's why it takes out the option of disabling the connection to the carrier. So without that, there's actually no way to turn off the baseband modem. The baseband modem is always active. So the eSIM, removing the SIM card was a way to just turn off the communication that's always sending to the carrier. And now we won't have an ability to do that. So that's like really, really worrisome. So anyway, again, sorry for, I know the video is kind of choppy, but the audio should be okay. So there are no more phones you can use in the US from the old days. So I got to tell you this in the next segment here about the IMEI debacle with carriers, because this is just crazy. So I'll talk about that in the next segment here. So let me just move to that segment by talking to you about my sponsor. My sponsor is Linode. Now I don't know why it's not coming. It's not coming up here. So my Linode flyer is not coming up on the screen. Anyway, well, I'll talk about it. It doesn't have to come up. So I'm a user of Linode. In fact, I've been using Linode for a couple of years. They've also been my sponsor for a couple of years. And I've been involved with many cloud service providers, including Amazon AWS, GoDaddy, and many other specific players that are focused on servers. And I've dealt with many. In fact, for a while there, because I run a VPN service, I was involved with many ISPs or cloud providers all over. And some of them are really a pain in the butt. Some of them are really expensive. And yeah. And one of the things that I found was, if you're looking for a service that's very reliable with excellent tech support, and that, by the way, is rare, the excellent tech support. In fact, there's no easy way to get tech support on AWS without paying for it. But the tech support that I've gotten on Linode has been exceptional. They're really such team players, and they help me considering even the difficulty of what I have to do with, let's say, VPN. So yeah, if the video is stuttering, don't worry about the video. So in any case, I would like you to consider using Linode and linode.com. If you go there and do linode.com/Rob Braxman, they're going to give you a $200 credit, which you can use for a period of 2 months. So if you want to test out and put out a web server, you can do web servers, Jitsi servers, Nextcloud servers, or whatever you want to do, different kinds of servers, websites, WordPress. You can do it on there for as little as $5 a month. In fact, it's a good way to learn how to use servers on Linux. And it's very easy to configure because you just choose from a menu. They can actually pre-install everything, like pre-install WordPress. So you don't even have to be a techie to figure that out. Just a small bit of knowledge, and you can do it. And you can learn for $5 a month. And for the first 2 months, it's free because you're not going to spend that $200 credit. So anyway, consider Linode, and you will appreciate what I've already known, that it's one of the best companies that I can think of for cloud services. Okay. Let me switch gears here, and I'll be paying attention to your comments now. But while I'm looking for a comment to react to, let me just tell you about the IMEI thing, because the IMEI issue is getting worse in some cases, and it's only in the U.S. This is only a U.S. thing, and it makes us wonder why. There are a couple of companies that are very extreme with the IMEIs. By that I mean they are restricting the phone. If you look at the list of phones that are supported by a company like Mint, okay, you know, Ryan Reynolds, zucking Ryan Reynolds, I'm the owner of Mint, okay, then zuck you, Mint, okay. Mint is the most zucking, irritating company I've ever seen. And what they've done is they basically said, we're going to have a list of phones we support. It's going to be a short list, a very short list. So this is why many phones don't work with Mint. Many phones don't work with Mint. And the reason is they actually made a list of IMEIs they're going to support, and they said, we're not going to support all this. So they just picked the major brands, and they said, okay, if you have some less popular brand, we're not going to support it. We're not going to, even if it's compatible with the network. Even if it's compatible with the network, they're not going to support it. So that is why if you run your, phone through many, many models, some of you have models that have been supported by most of the carriers in the past, and then suddenly it doesn't work. They're not going to run on Mint. And the other thing that I discovered that's really, really interesting is that a company like AT&T, for example, some people have reported to me that their Pixel 3s no longer work on AT&T. I don't know if this is true or not. If any of you are on AT&T and running a Pixel 3, and they're saying that the Pixel 3 is no longer, stopped working on AT&T. Now, why would a Pixel 3 stop working on AT&T? Why? A Pixel 3 is completely compatible. There's no issue with a Pixel 3. It's VoLTE and all that. 4G, everything else that is normal on a Pixel 3. And what they're doing is they're just doing it by age, I'm sure. And they're just saying, okay, we're going to start weeding out the old phones. And we're going to do it by IMEI. So this is a thing that they're doing only in the US. Only in the US. They are using this technique to force you to keep buying new phones over and over. I know some of you will blame me when you buy a phone from me and suddenly stops working. I'm telling you, this is the issue. They are doing this to force all of us to buy new phones. They're trying to force us to buy new phones. Okay? And Mint and Cricket, two other examples, are saying, well, we don't want to do tech support. So the way we're not going to do tech support is by limiting the phones that we're going to support. And we're going to say, we're going to just take Samsungs, Pixels, Apple iPhones, and a few other models, and the rest of them we don't care anymore. Dump them. So yeah, so we don't really want those phones there. So This is such an artificial limitation, and fortunately, we have a solution. So we have a solution. So there are actually tools out there that can flash the IMEI of the phone. So there are tools out there that can flash the IMEI of the phone. So if you change the phone to be a different model, and you know that the original model actually works, then you can fight these carriers, and you can actually mess with these carriers because they can't figure out what your phone is. 5G more secure? What nonsense! 5G is more 5G will get your location within inches. 5G more secure? Piece of crap. No, there's not. What is secure about 5G? So, can our ISP really track our internet traffic? ISPs no longer see your internet traffic. That's all been captured by Google and Apple. There's no longer a very little information goes to the ISP. So ISPs are kind of losing data, and that's why they're trying to make money some other way. Would you trust buying a de-Google phone off eBay? I don't know. I mean, why would you trust somebody from you don't know? Flash it yourself or have me do it for you. What do you think about the SIM-less iPhones? I already talked about that. It's going to be extremely bad for us. eSIM is more secure than physical SIM. Oh, you mean because no one can steal your SIM? Who cares if they steal your SIM? For goodness sakes, let them steal your SIM. Get a new zucking SIM. Come on. So you're gonna you're falling for the Apple hype. Oh yeah, eSIM is more secure. eSIM means we cannot disconnect the baseband modem. There will be no way to disconnect the baseband modem. So yeah, so it's bad to have eSIM only. Anyway, going back to what I was talking about with the IMEI. So the phone companies are limiting the phones that we're able to use in the US, and they're using it as a way to manipulate us. I don't know why they think Americans are easy to trick here. So you are being tricked. A lot of you will go to the rep. It's becoming like a used car salesman going to a phone rep because they're there to lie to you. Oh, we don't support your phone. You better get a new phone. So then they get a commission on a new phone, especially at Mint, and then they don't have to do tech support because they don't have to deal with an old phone. Yeah, it's a good solution for them. It's not a good solution for you. It's costing you more money, and they're playing a sucking game. So anyway, that's this IMEI is completely artificial. A phone, I know this because, okay, just to prove the point here. So I have a phone, a BraxOS phone, and I plugged in a Pure Talk eSIM in it, Pure Talk, and the voice won't work. No voice service. So you would think, if you ever call Pure Talk, of course I'm not going to call Pure Talk, but if you call Pure Talk, they'll say, oh, your phone doesn't have VoLTE, so we're not going to support your phone. Yeah, you need to get a different phone. This is the typical pitch you're going to get here. Oh, yeah, you need to get a different phone. Oh, you got a piece of crap phone. You got a piece of crap phone. It's not going to work. You got a piece of crap phone. Okay, right. So, I have a Pixel 4a. Again, these are phones I own. I have a Pixel 4a, and I put the IMEI of the Pixel 4a into my BraxOS phone. Plugged in the Pure Talk eSIM, not eSIM, the Pure Talk SIM, works perfectly. Texting, phone calls, everything works perfectly. So you can see what I'm trying to prove here is that yes, the carriers are putting artificial limits on phones, just from the IMEI. They're saying this is not a model we support, so zuck you, even though the phone actually works. Or in the case of a BraxOS phone, because the IMEI is not registered, they don't actually know what the phone model is. So they're just going to make an assumption. So this is the kind of lie that we're dealing with here, guys. So the BraxOS phone is actually pretty compatible with just about everything, because once you solve the problem of them artificially blocking the IMEI, it works fine. So I did that test. I did order a Mint just to prove the point. I ordered a Mint SIM. It hasn't arrived yet, but I've tried all the other SIMs and they all work. They all work. As long as I told them that the phone is a Pixel 4a, the BraxOS works fine. Everywhere. So you can see the lies here. Oh, your phone doesn't work. It's not compatible. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. They're just trying to control us by setting up some artificial limits. These carriers are truly playing some games here. I mean, the gamesmanship is like incredible. Incredible. I mean, we're dealing with VoLTE phones that are not 3G. A BraxOS phone is a 2022 phone. A BraxOS phone is a 2022 phone. And they're saying, oh, this is not compatible. It's a 3G phone. Okay, the reason that they're saying that a BraxOS phone is a 3G phone is because the IMEI is actually registered as a Z10. And I said, what is a Z10? I actually didn't know what a Z10 was. And then I looked it up, and it's a BlackBerry Z10. So it's actually, they think it's a BlackBerry Z10, which is LTE phone, but it doesn't have VoLTE. So yes, that's a Z10 is not going to be compatible. So anyway, just so you understand that it's terrible what we're being pushed to, and I pity those consumers who buy the phones from me, and then they're subjected to this kind of abuse, saying that my phone doesn't work, and it's not really true. So I'm going to do this. If you have a BraxOS phone and you're having problems with a carrier, no problem. You can we can exchange phones, and I'll reflash the IMEI. So that's not a problem. That's not a problem. Now, if you want, I'm gonna write the documentation. You can flash the IMEI yourself. So I can teach you how to do that, and the requirements are to do that. You need a Windows computer. There's actually many videos that badly explain how to flash an IMEI, but they're actually on YouTube. Little short on explanation, and if you actually try it, it doesn't always work, because there's some, they got to be up to date and so on. So anyway, you have to sign up to get to the store, but you don't need anything to sign up. You just give yourself a name. There's no to go to BraxMe. You don't need to identify yourself. You can call yourself any available name and username at username, as long as it's unique. Then it's okay. Anyway, I'm gonna put that information when I'm ready on BraxMe, and then you can do your IMEI yourself. Okay. So you can definitely do that. Now, I believe there are some laws that ban IMEI changing in, I believe, the UK. So if you're in the UK, you're not supposed to do it in the UK. That's what the law is. There's no law for it in the US. And my suggestion is, if you want to flash an IMEI on a phone, use some phone you already own. Use some phone you already own that you possess the phone, so nobody can say you stole the IMEI, because if it's your IMEI, then nobody can challenge. So in my case, I have the actual phone. So when I'm saying I'm using a 4A, it's my 4A, so I know where it came from. I know where the IMEI came from. So, but anyway, yeah, UK does not allow it, but okay. So, yeah. So I mean, what are we supposed to do? We're being tricked by these carriers, and we're just supposed to sit idly by and say, "Oh yeah, you're telling me the phone is incompatible. I got to buy a new phone." When they're lying to you. They're lying to you. The Queen gave permission, huh? Okay. Okay. Does that pass? The permission last even when she dies? Because she's dead. So what's now? Okay. So yeah. So I will provide some information how to flash IMEIs, but I'll do it on BraxMe. So join BraxMe. I'll put the information in the FAQ section of Brax2 phones. So I mean, it's common. There's a lot of YouTube videos on it, so you can't say that I'm the only one with it. But I'm going to give some specific instructions that apply to a Brax2 phone. So unfortunately, the instruction for doing a flashing of IMEI is different for every phone model. So there's some files you need, and if you don't have them, you can't flash. You can't flash. So that's another way of doing it. You buy some phone that is supported. You buy it cheap and then use the IMEI of that. So then you have an extra phone. I'm a fan of the Brax phone. You mentioned that Brax are quite robust. Could you make a video debunking their claims and comparing it to BraxOS? I'm going to hold off on the BraxOS, and there's a lot going on the BraxOS side. So you will actually be pleased with what we're up to, and it has to do with the open source and all that, and so on. So let me just kind of give you kind of a rough idea on what's actually happening. In fact, the next video on location tracking will show you how BraxOS mitigates the problem that I'm going to be talking about with location tracking on every phone, and even on Lineage OS. Unfortunately, Lineage OS has a hole in it that allows the tracking. BraxOS does not, and BraxOS comes from some pretty good roots, and it actually so we're going to make this clear in a moment here, but it's not yet finalized. So I'm waiting for the final word here. But the idea is that there's going to be a new OS that's going to be put as open source, and it's going to be made available, and that is going to be the open source, and it's going to be the basis of BraxOS. So it's going to have a different name instead of BraxOS. It's going to have a different name, and it's going to be handled by community. It's going to be a community OS, and so you can actually see the source code, and you can compile it yourself, and so on. And that was supposed to be done soon, and there's still a bit of delay here, but that's going to be available, and that's going to be the basis of us preparing the BraxOS build. So just so you know that, okay? So, and then you can actually see exactly what some of the features are that relate to BraxOS, and you can actually check if you're actually an expert, and you can criticize whatever you want to criticize because BraxOS has a pretty good roots. It's actually you know, some of you may not know this, but the origins of BraxOS go back to even the black phone. Okay, so my partners actually were the ones providing the black phone. Okay, so just so you know that this is not a fly-by-night kind of operation here. We got some a great development team that I'm working with, and we discuss some of these issues. We were discussing, in fact, some of the location tracking issues. That's going to be in the next video. So it's gonna be fun. But I don't want to rush that. There's a reason for some of these delays. One of them was the original BraxOS was Android 10, and when it went to Android 11, that means a different source code. And if we open source that, we would have to redo everything, and it was just not feasible to do it in time. So because we were going to do Android 11. So anyway, so you're gonna see more of that. I'm gonna discuss more of that. The Brax 2 phone, the current one, is fine. I mean, it works. As I proved, it works everywhere. And those that are having problems with the IMEI just need to change the IMEI. Either we do it for you, or you can do it yourself. If you're not techie, we do it for you. We just do a phone exchange, no cost to you. Just send the other phone back, and that solves that. I mean, not everyone has a problem with the IMEI. I don't know why it's localized. I do not know. I have no explanation why. Because my Brax 2 phone has always worked with T-Mobile, for example, never had an issue. My Brax 2 phone works with Ting. My Brax 2 phone works with H2O, Boost, all these AT&T ones, and Verizon. So it's not entirely clear why some locations have the IMEI blocked. So it's almost like a tower level blocking. It's almost like blocking IMEIs even at the tower level. So I'm not sure why they do that, or what the logic is for limiting it on certain areas by tower. And that's something that we can resolve just by modifying the IMEI. So the phone will appear to be something else, and then it will work fine. It will not have any issue. You will not have an issue with your Brax 2 phone. Now, for some, there are bands that are not supported by the current. There's one band not supported by the current Brax 2 phone, and that's band 4. So band 4 is not used very widely except by Verizon. So it's not used widely at all by any other carrier. It's used mostly by Verizon. It may sometimes be used by some carriers, but it's not really a primary one. So which means, other bands work. So that's why I don't have any problem with any other bands as long as the IMEI is fixed. So anyway, the change I'm talking about, Zephyl, is not it's not that simple. You have to have an infrastructure to solve it. You can't just go to Lineage OS and say, oh, this will fix it. We need to change it to X. No, it requires a little bit more infrastructure, which we provide on the Brax 2. Okay, so anyway, now change topics there, and I forgot what I was talking about. But I forgot what I was talking about. So anyway, we have the Brax 2 phone with the band 4 coming out as the next model we'll be selling in October. So if you buy the Brax 2 phone in October, we have the option of selling you the one with the band 4. Now again, this is not an issue for most people except for those who rely on Verizon. Verizon still works for the most part. So there'll be just a small number that for it may be a necessity. And from here on, from October on, once we run out of stock of the current model, the next model will always have band 4. So from October on, the when we run out of stock of the current model, we will be selling the BraxOS USA model, which is band 4. But it shouldn't matter. It's the same phone. It's still BraxOS. It's basically the same. It's a minor revision. It just has the band 4. Otherwise, it's exactly the same phone. So yeah, it's exactly the same phone. You don't have to think that somehow the phone is different. The price may be different though. So we will still have both phones for a while, and then later on it will just be the BraxOS USA model. That'll be in October. It's going to be available in October. We still have stock of the normal one. So like I said, if you have issues with IMEIs and the carriers that we don't support the phone, Zacom. You just need to play with the IMEI and we're done. Okay, so we can solve that. No problem. We'll just do a phone exchange, and it only affects a small number of people. I mean, I've sold a lot of these phones, and not that many have the issue. I don't know if it's even 2%. Okay, so let's just say 2% of you have an issue. And for the 2% of you that have an IMEI block, or if you're using Mint, it's 100%. Okay, 100% of the phones do not work with Mint or Cricket because they actually block IMEIs that are not on the short list. Okay, so if your IMEI is duplicated, it will be flagged as rogue cell phone. Actually, that's not true. The U.S. does not use that rogue cell phone. They don't do that. Second, the phone is not stolen, so nobody will report the IMEI as stolen because it's not going to be a stolen phone. So no one is going to report it as stolen, even though the U.S. actually doesn't participate in that. The U.S. doesn't participate in the IMEI stolen phone reporting thing. They don't actually do that. BraxOS is $389. Yeah, BraxOS is $389. So yeah, so IMEI. You see, the real tracking of a phone is IMSI. The IMEI right now is used by U.S. carriers specifically to just tell what model you have so they can block your phone. That's about the only function of IMEI right now. So they're just using it to trick us right now. They're not even using it to track stolen phones, whatever. They're not doing that. They may do it in some other countries, but in the U.S. they're not doing that. They're just using it to block us. So they're not using it appropriately. They're just using it to basically trick the consumer. So I don't have any qualms about fighting back and saying, zuck you. You zuck us, we'll zuck you too. If you delete too many messages, you'll be flagged as a rogue phone. What the heck does that mean? Delete too many messages. What messages are you deleting? I delete all messages on my phone. What does that mean? This occurs the same duplicate appears in the same telco exchange network as part of no. You're wrong. V. You're wrong. They check the IMSI, not the IMEI. No. I have many phones with the same IMEI because I stick multiple SIM cards into the same phone. For example, I have multiple T-Mobile and Ting SIM cards. Multiple. I stick it into the same phone, so they all have the same IMEI. It's fine. I do it all the time. You can try it yourself. Get five T-Mobile cards. Activate them all. Stick it into your phone, the phone that you're using, whatever it is. And then keep exchanging SIM cards and see if they start blocking you. They won't. It doesn't block. No, you're wrong. It doesn't work like that. So they don't actually use the IMEI because the database isn't up to date. So they're not actually. Let me tell you something else that's kind of interesting that many people don't actually know. As I found out, a lot of the Chinese phones don't actually register the IMEI. So there are probably 10,000 phone models. They're actually, which apps have access to IMEI or IMSI? Only a system app. There's no system app on the Google phone other than the phone dialer, the dialer. That's it. Yeah, you're not going to get blocked. You're not going to get blocked. And again, the reason is the IMEI is actually not enforced. So there's actually no enforcement of IMEI internationally. I did not know this. See, I learned this. When you become a phone manufacturer, you start to understand some of these details. But one of the details is that you actually can start a new phone company, a phone device. You can design a new phone in China, use your motherboard from MediaTek, which is Taiwan, so the motherboard is Taiwanese, and you make your phone, and then when you're ready to flash the IMEI, you say, well, I don't know what IMEI to flash. You can register your IMEI with and get a TAC code with GSMA. So you can go to GSMA and get a TAC code and pay them and wait months to get your TAC code, which is actually what we're doing right now. But the reality is that many manufacturers of phones don't even do that. They just randomly assign an IMEI, which are likely duplicates. They just say, oh, we're just going to pick any IMEI we feel like, and there's actually no enforcement. That's why, how can they have a law that how can they actually have a law enforcing an IMEI when the IMEI itself is not enforced? It's not enforced. Okay, just so you understand. So IMEI you can assign any IMEI there. If you look at the downloads of just an example of the people who download the IMEI flasher to flash a new IMEI, and I looked at it and there were 500,000 downloads. Your IMSI and your IMEI is in the system box. System. So go to system. So anyway, yeah, because the IMEI is not actually enforced, then yeah. Now the IMSI is the one that's enforced. The IMSI is provided by your carrier. If you fake an IMSI or fake a SIM card with an IMSI, that would be against the law. So you can't fake an IMSI. Just so we're clear on that, because that would be stealing telecommunications service, which an IMEI does not do. An IMEI doesn't steal anything. Don't let anyone borrow your phone either. They could install a backdoor really fast. Well, that's true. You can change the MAC address with the same tool. So the IMEI flasher can flash a different MAC address if you want to as well. So yeah, you can do that. You can also flash a different MAC address on Bluetooth, flash a bit different MAC address on Wi-Fi if that's important to you. So nowadays, though, Android has MAC address randomization, so that's not so critical on Wi-Fi. You may want to do it on Bluetooth. That may make sense because it's being used for contact tracing. If Google already has my personal phone number, is using 2FA second SIM for 2FA any use? Eventually what you should do is have a different phone number for 2FA that's not known to your contacts. Otherwise, Google knows who all your friends are. Yeah, please check out my phone. Yes, check out my phone. I'm in the market for a new cell phone. I'll check it. Yeah. So if you're looking for phones, don't go jump into Apple phones. Be smart and be smart. Okay, I'm checking on Rumble here, and I don't see my live stream showing up on Rumble at all. I'm just scanning the page here. Yeah, I don't see it. So it's all messed up here. Okay, so I don't know if any of you are on Rumble, but I can't even see the video on Rumble. Okay, what about 2FA authenticator apps? 2FA authenticator apps that are not Google are just fine. Authenticator apps using TOTP, a time-based one-time password, are excellent if they allow it. You don't need much more. You can use, a Google Authenticator. Even the Google Authenticator is just fine. It's open source. You can use Authy, although Authy is now requiring you to log into the website, which I don't like. So there are other similar apps. They're all the same. The way it works is pretty much standardized. It's open source. You can actually write your own if you want. So you're not appearing on Rumble, even though I turn on the live stream on Rumble. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it right now, but that's interesting. Interesting detail. So I will ask the Rumble people why that is. So yeah, was on Rumble, kept having to refresh to keep watching, so came back here. Okay. So how is Bitwarden as a password manager in terms of, you can use whatever you want. Generally speaking, the what do you call this? The password managers, most of them are pretty good. I'm not going to grade them. I used to, back in the day when it was still an independent company, I used to use LastPass. I don't use LastPass anymore. I use KeePass. So KeePass is open source. It's the only one I use. It's the only one I use in all my platforms. And it's not the easiest to use, but it's reliable, and it's not stored anywhere else. I don't have a cloud that I have to dump the files to, so that's what I like to use myself. Some of you like to use KeePass because it's or LastPass, sorry, because it's more convenient because the interface is much better. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a problem with any of them. I don't have a problem with any of them. I personally use KeePass because it's open source. Are you saying that China doesn't care about IMEI? Are you saying that China doesn't care about IMEI? I'm saying the manufacturers don't want to pay for the TAC code. You have to pay a lot of money. You have to pay a lot of money to get your own registered IMEI grouping, and they'll give you 1 million IMEIs to use if you pay the amount. So a lot of companies they don't pay it. Thank you. Let me see. Lux Monkey. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. By the way, this channel now has a membership. This is on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, you can now support the channel with a membership, and the members have a little star on their name. So for like Great Gold is a member, and so the members show up on the chat with a little star, and then what I'm going to do is give the members a Q&A only for members. So at the moment, we're not going to start that yet because there are not enough members. But when there are enough members, we're going to have a Q&A session just for members. So maybe I stop the main Q&A and then do a members only Q&A. So anyway, I appreciate it if you do a membership. I believe it's $4.99 a month. It's a thank you, James A. it's great support for the channel. It's not much, and I believe I get $3 out of that. So, which obviously isn't a lot, but if you know if 1,000 of you do it, then it makes sense. I think like right now I have 5 members, 6 members. So so uh, uh, so I think I got I don't know, uh, 6 times 3, 18. So 17 or $18. Membership is on the YouTube. It's an option on the channel. So when you go to the channel page, there's a button that says join, I believe. It says join, and if you join, then you're basically supporting the channel for $4.99 a month. So, and I appreciate it. So of course, I also have products. If you go to BraxMe, you can get some more products, a Brax 2 phone. I'm really, really proud of the Brax 2 phone. And let me just tell you something about the Brax 2 phone that you will see shortly. I'm hoping next week, but there were some delays, and the reason is related to the video that you're going to see next week. Yeah, KeyPass. That's right. Red Carbon. That's right. The Brax 2 phone will get an update next week, so we're going to do another update. Some of you are on the beta test program, so you might get it earlier. And then we'll probably need 48 hours of testing to make sure that there's no major bugs. And then we'll push it out to the rest of you maybe on the latter part of next week. So that's the plan, and this solves some bugs that we're aware of that we were trying to fix in the last one that didn't get fixed. So it's going to be fixing a new one, and yeah. So we're actively working on things here, and it's your phone is getting updated even though you don't have to buy a new phone. So. Let's see. You prefer to spell it KeyPass virtual machines. Yep. I spell it. Okay, 30% of donations gloam. This means third force activity. I have a Pixel 6 with Calyx and a Brax 2 phone. I prefer the Brax 2. Oh, that's very nice. Thank you. I have. Okay, so you guys know that I've been selling a bunch of Pixel phones and putting Lineage OS on it, and which is still fine, and we continue to do that. There, however, is a breach on the Lineage OS that's not going to be easily corrected, and it relates to the next video. So Lineage OS has that issue, which does not exist on BraxOS. So it's a partial issue. I mean, a Lineage OS obviously is 10 million times better than a normie phone, but the BraxOS is better just because it actually handles all of the issues we know of, whereas the Lineage OS still has that it still has that flaw, and it's a flaw that it's not easily resolved. It's not easily resolved without making some sort of back-end architecture to solve it, which they can't provide because that's not what Lineage does, but we can. So at least for Brax 2 phones, we've solved it. So there's no solution for it on a Lineage OS. I'm sure it's been discussed in Lineage OS forums, and they really haven't done anything with it. I use any number of things. They're all the same. They use the same database, KeyPass. Depending on the platform, you can use KeyPass on any different platforms, and they have different names. And there are many third parties that make little tools for it, and they make extensions and so on. But they're part of the same family. They have a KeyPass compatible database. So I prefer using the one that's open source. So, let's see what else. We talked about a lot of stuff today, didn't we? You used Notepad. Yeah, but Notepad isn't encrypted, so somebody can look at your Notepad and see all your passwords. Whereas on KeePass, they need to get the master password. Does BraxOS? No, BraxOS only works for the Brax 2 phone. However, the base OS that is going to be published may be ported to other phones. So that's possible by somebody else. There's been a Chromebook extension for KeePass. Yes, there's also a Chrome extension for KeePass. I don't like using any of that. I don't like using extensions because the extension means that they could theoretically spy on you. Is it sufficient to debloat the phone through ADB to remove tracking? No, you can't do that. No, you cannot correct a phone by rooting. No, you can't, because you got to replace actual modules. That's what microG does. microG provides the replacement modules on a de-Googled phone. So how are you going to replace those on a Google phone? No, not going to work. So some of the code that's actually doing a lot of the secret things that we're talking about, like Wi-Fi scanning and all that, are still there. You're not going to be able to take that out, if you even find where it is, because you don't know where it is. No, it's not open source, so we don't know where they put it. So you don't know which executable is doing that. So it's always impossible. I do not use extensions where I can. Yeah, if it's possible not to use an extension, I won't. I believe I use one extension, which is Start Page. I heard YouTube is actively trying to kill Twitch. Yeah, they can try to do any number of things. Twitch is owned by Amazon, so yeah. Google versus Amazon, Musk versus Bezos. I mean, a lot of stuff going on, right? Wi-Fi scanning can be switched off. No. You think that's what you're switching off. You don't know that. There's actually Wi-Fi scanning means different things. It depends on the terminology. Apple uses the term Wi-Fi scanning to refer to what I'm talking about, which is the tracking of Wi-Fi routers. But on a open source Android open source project phone, there is a Wi-Fi scanning in there, and that has nothing to do with the Wi-Fi scanning I'm talking about. This is why the terminology is not accurate. So yes, even on an Android open source AOSP even BraxOS, even any of the OSs, Lineage OS, there's an option to turn off Wi-Fi scanning, but that has nothing to do with the Google side. That's a different kind. Wi-Fi scanning, there is a pre-scan of the Wi-Fi, so it knows if it basically searches for your local network so it can connect to your network faster. And that's what that Wi-Fi scanning is. It takes the MAC addresses and then it searches and says, are you at your home network? And then if you're at your home network, it automatically connects. That has nothing to do with the Wi-Fi scanning where it supplies the data for Wi-Fi triangulation. So that's part 2 of Wi-Fi scanning. And there's no actual term for that because I used to call that Wi-Fi scanning, but I don't actually know what to call it anymore because they've kind of corrupted that. So no, so the part that is collects the data from routers and sends it to populate the network location provider of Google to track Wi-Fi routers, that's a completely different technology, and we don't know where the code is for that because it's not on the open source. I don't know where they keep that. Oh, Michael, you joined the Braxman channel. You know what? On here on the place where I'm looking at chat, which is Restream, I actually do not see the star for members. I don't see that. There was a bug. I was trying to look at the comments on YouTube and it didn't show up. So there's some bug here and I couldn't figure it out. And people said that I wasn't showing up on. So I'm not promoted on Rumble apparently. So I got to talk to the Rumble people about that because they said they were going to do that. Twice now it didn't work. So if it's going to go like this, I'm going to stop the Rumble feed because it's very time consuming to do this. And if there's no benefit, oh there, now it showed up. Now it showed up. And there's only, I don't know how many people are watching on Rumble here. Yeah, it showed up now, but my goodness, it's almost at the end of the broadcast. It shows up at the end. We're down to 10 minutes left, and then that's when they put it on Rumble. Okay, that's when they promote it on Rumble. At least it's going to be on a replay. It's going to be on the replay. So anyway, and by the way, that's why your flip phones don't work, even though some of them could be faulty, is because they're going to say, we don't want your flip phone on our network because we want you to pay for data. So it's a way for them to make money. So the carriers say, they're going to block certain models that do not have data, like flip phones, because they said, no, we don't want those kinds of phones. We don't make money. We want to charge money. Never heard of Rumble. Well, yeah, that's fine. It's just another platform. So the Rumble thing is very interesting because, of course, half my subscribers disappeared here on YouTube. As it turns out, half of you no longer go to YouTube, and I was wondering why, and I found out that many went to Rumble. So that's because of the censorship. So the censorship kind of put off many people and they left YouTube. So I'm on the live. So if you click on live, I'm on the top right now, right this moment. Yeah, but if they didn't promote it, it wasn't showing up on the live before. Does jailbreaking Apple work? I don't know what that's supposed to do for you. My carrier is reporting way more data usage than my phone. Hundreds of millions possibly. That's right. Will Lineage OS work on Pixel 6 or 6a? Not yet. Not yet. If we do it here, we install Calyx because that supports 6. Obviously 6a is new, so no. So Odyssey was the new hotness. Rumble's much bigger than Odyssey. Much bigger. I mean, talking 50 million active users on Rumble. It's huge. Surprisingly, that's where all the that's where all the people who left YouTube went. So I'm on the live tab on Rumble at the moment. So no flip phones are supported by providers now. I don't know if any are supported. And they'll likely find a way to block the IMEI if they did support it. Meaning if it works, they don't want it. Even Osman Maps asked to use Wi-Fi scanning with certain backends. Is that a threat to privacy? That will actually be addressed with the micro G issue in next week's video. I didn't know they're doing that, but if you use Osman outdoors, it should work. Mostly that's a issue indoors. So there are limitations outdoors. In Bulgaria, everything is supported. Maybe Z Flip phone, they love those. Z Flip, they love those. I used Rumble but wanted to have a question answered, so came to YouTube. That's, yeah. If it wouldn't be going on its own. Flip phones still work in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is U.S., so I don't think so. Not for long. Because, you have the same U.S. carriers in there, right? Or are there Puerto Rican specific carriers? But, that's U.S. Can I de-Google Samsung Note 8? No. You might have what? So yeah, we of course have on our store here we have kind of limited our de-googling to pixels, and we're actually limiting it to newer pixels now, like Pixel 4a, and above kind of thing. Less and less of the Pixel 4 XLs and so on. Pixel 3a, Pixel 4a, those are still good, but the prior model is getting harder to get now because of age. Like we can't find Pixel 3s anymore. Yeah, Steve. I saw myself on the live videos on Rumble. I'm seeing it now. It's at the top right now, but I click on live and I see it. But maybe now it's not there anymore. Okay, it disappeared. It was at the top, and then now it's no longer there. What about an LG G4? Yeah, so we don't like Moto G. Moto G, I believe, is doable. Moto G Action, Moto G Power. I think all those are doable. We don't stock them though. We can probably do them for you. You flash your phone. 4G flip phones. That is KaiOS. KaiOS is, Google owned partially. So KaiOS is part of the Google infrastructure. They're very tied to Google because Google's an investor of KaiOS. Yeah, so we can do that. My last video talks about that, Doug LeBach. So watch the video. I don't talk about the movie. I only talk about, the location issue, which is correct. It is what it does. No, you can't de-Google any Samsungs. Are proxy servers like VPNs? Proxy servers are not encrypted and they're cached, so they're kind of dangerous. They're not encrypted, they're cached, so somebody can actually track the traffic. Okay, the advantage of a proxy server is to cache the traffic, so that you can cache the IP addresses and all that. So I don't know why you would want a proxy server. And there's no encryption. There's no VPN encryption. If you do live shows and get lots of views, I did analysis of how many live channels were online. It was a low amount. I don't know what that means. Will 1+10 work with Lineage OS? You got to check lineageos.org. Why would you ever, people, I have my own VPN, Bytes VPN. Now you have a face here that you deal with, and I've been running that VPN for several years now with happy customers. And the VPN is actually not known to be a VPN. Many sites don't know it's a VPN. And the reason is we don't have that many people on it per server. Now, if you compare that to a NordVPN or one of these other companies, they put like thousands of people on a server. So Google then can easily track who's on a VPN because they will find thousands of people with the same IP address. Thousands. Do you really want that? So, yeah. So that's why Bytes VPN is it's more stealthy because it doesn't have that, and obviously it is more expensive for us to maintain because we have fewer servers, so that there's instead of thousands we don't have thousands at any one time on the server, so that provides better performance. So yeah, so try us out, Bytes VPN. It's on BraxMe. And instead of looking at sites like NordVPN or PIA, most of these are like troublesome VPNs. They block your email, and they're so obviously blocked by many carriers because of the fact that so many scammers use their system. So there's so many scammers, and you're mixing yourself with the scammers. Whereas on Bytes VPN, just got clean cut people. They're very few, and we don't have a lot of these bad types, and so we have kind of a presence that that's why I refer to it as stealth VPN, because we're not mixing it up with all the bad people hiding in a in a NordVPN to do bad things. Okay, I'm out of time, so I'll talk to you guys later, and thank you for watching, and I'll figure out how to turn this off. I can't figure